When you're staring at a laptop spec sheet that reads like a sci-fi novel, it's easy to feel the hesitation creep in. You're wondering whether you're about to spend a fortune on a machine that will sit idle most of the time, or if you're finally getting a rig that can actually keep up with the games you love, the creative projects you chase, and the occasional workday crunch. I'm here to walk through those questions, lay out where the real value lives, and help you decide if the Alienware 16 Area 51 is the laptop that fits your life or if it's more of a flashy desktop that belongs on a shelf. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First, let's talk about the kind of scenarios that push a gaming laptop from nice to have into essential. Imagine you're a competitive player who streams 1080p at 144 frames per second while keeping an eye on chat and a Discord voice channel. You also edit those recordings on the same machine, moving raw 4K footage through a non-linear editor without waiting for hours for renders. Or picture you're a freelance 3D artist who needs real-time viewport lighting while sculpting in Blender, then hops into Unreal Engine for level design. Those are the moments where raw horsepower, a fast display, and a reliable network connection stop being nice-to-have buzzwords and become daily necessities. The Area 51 hits the must-have list for those use cases largely because of its Intel Ultra 9275HX processor and the RTX 5080 GPU. The SE HPC cores in the RTX 5080 sit comfortably ahead of older RTX 40 series cards, delivering frame rates that keep a 240Hz screen fully utilized. In practice, that means you can actually see the difference between 150 frames per second and 200 frames per second when you're pushing high refresh titles like Cyberpunk 2077 or Valorant on ultra settings. For streamers, the extra headroom translates into smoother motion without having to sacrifice bitrate or resolution. But raw numbers aren't the only story. The 16-inch WQXGA panel, with its 2560x1600 resolution, gives you a sharper workspace than a standard 1080p laptop, while the 240Hz refresh rate eliminates the kind of ghosting that can be irritating in fast-paced shooters. When you pair that with the 4K webcam, you suddenly have a device that can act as a full studio webcam for high-quality video calls. If you spend half your day in virtual meetings, this alone can justify a chunk of the price tag. Now, here's where the hidden trade-offs surface. All that power is funneled through a 240W TDP power plan, which, on paper, looks like a dream. In real life, it pushes the thermal management system to its limits. The cooling solution does a decent job of keeping temperatures under control during short bursts, but when you run sustained workloads, say, a 30-minute marathon in Elden Ring with ray tracing maxed out, the laptop can climb into the high 70s Celsius range on the CPU side. That's still within safe limits, but it does mean the fan will ramp up noticeably, and you'll hear the whine of the pump quite a bit. If you're planning to game in a quiet environment like a shared apartment, that noise could become a nuisance. Battery life is another practical consideration. With a 99 Wh battery, you might expect a day of casual use, but the reality is more modest. Under a typical office workload with the display at 120 Hz, you'll get around 5 to 6 hours. Turn the screen to 240 Hz and launch a graphically intensive game, and you'll be looking at roughly 2 hours before you need to plug in. For many gamers, that's acceptable because the laptop is primarily a desktop replacement, but if you need something that can double as a travel companion, the power draw may feel excessive. Who should buy this machine? If you're an esports competitor who wants to maintain the highest possible frame rates without compromising visual fidelity, the Area 51's combination of RTX 5080 and ultra-fast display gives you a competitive edge that many portable rigs can't match. If you're a content creator who needs to render 4K footage, model complex scenes, and stream simultaneously, the 32GB DDR5 RAM and 1TB SSD provide ample headroom to keep your workflow fluid. Also, if you value having a premium brand support network and the promise of future firmware updates that keep the hardware relevant longer, Alienware's reputation adds a layer of confidence. On the flip side, skip this laptop if your gaming sessions are more casual. Think indie titles or older games that don't demand the latest GPU. In that case, a mid-range laptop with a RTX 4060 and a less aggressive CPU would save you a few $1,000s while still delivering a smooth experience. It's also not the best pick for someone who prioritizes silent operation. The cooling fans are louder than many competitors, and the chassis, while sturdy, can transmit that noise directly to the keyboard. Lastly, if you need a truly portable system that you can toss into a backpack and work on a coffee shop table all day, the weight and size of the Area 51 may feel more like a desktop on wheels than a laptop. The strengths of the Alienware.